Hello all, I'd like to show a very old Ruy Lopez game, and I'd like to also go through a, a position analysis which is kind of crucial. So just quickly go through the game and I'll stop at a particular place and I'll throw it open to the audience so you can go over the analysis. So well, let's just quickly go through the game. So this was the Ruy Lopez with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6. Typical standard moves. Wouldn't want to go over the details. Bishop a4, knight f6, queen e2, b5, bishop b3, bishop e7, a4. Black doesn't want the exchange, but instead pushes for a b4. White plays bishop d5. Here, white is actually threatening to win a pawn by taking bishop takes the knight on on c6 and then winning the pawn from the knight with knight takes e5. But black actually ignores this. He just plays knight d5, e5, knight d4, knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, both sides castle, queen c4, c5. Looks a very solid move, but n% capture with d takes c6, d takes c6, queen takes c6, which actually is a mistake. Rook a7, queen f3, rook c7. Oops, sorry. Rook c7. Black is threatening. He has a very nice c file here. His pawns are well posted on d4 and b4, making white's development very difficult. So in fact the knight has no valid squares to place on, neither on c3 nor on a3. So d3 looks the most obvious move for white. White in fact did play d3. Bishop b7. Black is in no hurry to capture this pawn on c2 because he gets a very active position and threatens all sorts of tricks on the king side. The queen retreats back to d1. Bishop d6, lining up the second bishop. These two bishops are beautifully placed, capturing the long diagonal. So white continued with knight d2, rook e8, knight c4, and this is where black starts his beautiful launch of an attack. Bishop takes h2, sacrificing bishop. King takes bishop, queen h4, king g1, another bishop sacrifice with bishop takes g2, king takes g2. It's kind of forced. Rook takes c6, rook to c6, bishop f4, queen takes f4. Well, instead of bishop f4, white could have gone with queen f3, but but after rook rook g6, queen g3, rook e2, queen takes, f takes. Uh, this is winning for black because he's now threatening b3 and I think this queen is very actively placed. So let's go back with bishop f4, queen takes f4, white plays rook h1. So this is the position. I would encourage you to pause your video for a few moments and see what is black's best move going forward. He's obviously a material down, but he has went ahead and launched a counter attack, sacrificing two bishops but getting back one bishop in turn. Is rook takes g6, which is looking the more obvious move the correct move? Well, let's have a look. In fact, that's a losing move for black. After rook g6, king f1, and I don't think so black has anything to proceed. So he can play something like rook f6, but the queen comes back in time to defend and try to exchange of the queen. There's not much. There's no way that black can mate the king now. Uh, let's have a look at any other possible combination. So, um, what about queen g5, threatening queen g to mate again? Well, white has this wonderful move. Sorry, queen f3, and again there's no real evidence how black can mate the white's king. So let's go back to the position where we were initially with rook h1, with white playing rook h1. The winning move is rook to f6, not giving the check on g6, but but moving the rook to f6. Let's see why. Okay, now white has several options. I mean, how do you defend the mate? So let's look at two or three important variations, or the most logical continuations. So white can play rook h2, which actually loses immediately to rook g6, king h1, rook e1, deflecting the the white's queen from the f3 square. Queen takes e1 is forced. Queen f3, rook g2, and queen g2 checkmate. So let's see. So rook h2 is losing. Let's see what if white plays queen d2. Well, this loses again to queen f3, king g1. You'll notice that all of these are kind of forced moves. So that's the key. Rook g6, king h2, and queen g2 mate. Oops. Let's see. So probably the strongest move for white would be rook h3, but this also loses to. There's no. I don't see any force in mate, but it loses to queen f2, check, king h1, rook e2, threatening mate on g2 again. So queen g1 is kind of forced. Queen f3, rook takes queen, rook h6, queen takes h2. Obviously, rook takes h3, loses another rook and a queen. So rook queen h2. Rook e takes h2 is the key move here. King g1, rook h1, and once the king moves, black is capturing the rook, and he's an exchange up as well as I believe a pawn up. So black should clearly win this. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this.